Good evening, listeners. Welcome. It is Sunday evening, 8 o'clock, right on time. And this is Bridge Sky, the host tonight. You are listening to KISS Recovery 101. And KISS, if you're new, is a fun acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Each of these paths that we explore, talk about to recovery and recovery, we're going to try to keep it simple concepts. But listeners, this is a live show, and there's a purpose for that. I want you to ask questions. I want you to post those comments. I want to go back and forth, and especially tonight, juicy topic, hot topic. This one gets me fired up, and I've been to the training. And actually, there was two really great facilitators, leaders of that training. There was Justin McNeil, who I've had on my show before. And I got to admit, I was a little shy. I felt like a peasant asking my current guest. He said yes. So, guest, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Barry Rubin, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means to me is I get to live every day for real. I don't have to try to remember what I did yesterday or last night or what I said, boo. And I have been in recovery for many, many, many years, probably close to 40. So I've been around, and I do teach with Justin harm reduction. We had a class last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and my voice is a tad hoarse. Because after I do 3 days of teaching, it takes about a week for my voice to come back. So you'll hear a raspy voice. I'm feeling great, and I'm looking forward to talking to you, and I'm looking forward to certainly answering questions.
Fantastic. And you know what? I think your raspy voice with my chippery, high, excited voice is going to be a good balance. You'll be the wise character, right. And I'm going to be the yippee, skippy character, and learn a lot together. So, let's talk about some of the things in that training. I'll just start off. I loved that training. It was a lot of things said, and for me, clarified. These are things that I found myself having resistance with. I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my soul. Like my mind, however, was not able to grasp what is taught in this fantastic training. And it just lays out indisputable things and disputable things. I mean, that's why we're having a show. But a lot of those things said so many things that really resonated with me. And I immediately connected with not only personally lived experience, but family members, friends. Like, I've seen a lot of things. And so I am 100% flip that switch. I am all about advocacy, and harm reduction is where it's at. So hopefully we could get some questions in the comments, but right from the get-go, do you want to talk about some of those, maybe hot topics or those questions or those things that come up during that training for someone who's brand new to it, maybe has only known the abstinence law, right? That's the only way.
Right.
Nonsense. Oh, sorry. I'm not gonna be judgmental or opinionated too much, but they come in, they didn't know, but what they do know, they come in, they ask these questions, they make these comments. What are some of those things that you see? Now, how many trainings have you done?
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a history.
Please.
Justin and I have done about, I think, 12 or 15 trainings. They're each 3 days long. They go from 9 to 5. And the first 6 or 7 that we did for people at MRC, Minnesota Recovery Connection. We did to people associated, allies of Minnesota Recovery Connection. And I'm going to tell you the last 3 that we did in April. We were on the Red Lake Indian Reservation, where we had 26 people.
Wow.
In the class. The maximum is supposed to be 20, and they had 26 people from Red Lake Health. Mm-hmm. The next month, which was May, we were in Duluth, and we did the northern tier recovery people, Recovery Connection counselors and consultants. And last week, we did Jewish Family and Children Services, where we had 20 licensed psychologists, therapists, and people that deal with families and people that are suffering from multiple disorders, including, of course, addiction. And everybody said the same thing Bridge just said. Everybody comes into those trainings. Basically, a lot of the people, especially in Duluth and in Red Earth, were in recovery. And when you're in recovery, you basically, especially over the last few years, 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, it's been abstinence. I come out of abstinence. I go to meetings. I had a meeting at 6:00 tonight. I've been going to AA/Al-Anon. I'm in a combined meeting, but I've been going for 12 years. And the reason I've been going for 12 years is about 12 years ago, I started wavering a little bit on using again, going through a lot of personal issues, a lot of pressure. And I thought maybe the answer is to escape. And I didn't. And I said, I better go to a meeting. And I started 12 years ago in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And I just came from there tonight. So abstinence is certainly what people know. And especially in Minnesota, by the way, from Hazelden and everything else, is 12 steps is important. And to me, 12 steps are a way of life. So I'm not a 12-step denier at all. But keep in mind that there are people that 12-step program isn't the right thing. They feel it's religious. They feel the meetings are sometimes they don't feel welcome there. They feel, and young people feel there's a bunch of old people at these meetings, and they don't get what I'm doing. They don't get, they're all drinking, and I'm snorting heroin or meth, doing meth or did meth. And so they need something different. So under the umbrella of harm reduction is certainly abstinence, but it's way more than that. And our motto is, while it sounds simplistic, it's really meeting people where they're at. And that's the key. Not everybody, you can't tell somebody 22 or 23 years old, not everybody, you can never have fill in the blank again. They're out. They're gone. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. But what you can do is talk to them about what recovery looks like to them. Using less, driving, not driving. It can be anything. And we show videos where certainly addiction is a disease. And we show videos of people talking about every disease in the world except addiction has harm reduction. Diabetes has insulin. High blood pressure has blood pressure pills. Even people get a bee bite, can use an EpiPen. Those are all harm reduction.
What about asthma?
Asthma.
I use lots of
inhaler, a rescue inhaler.
Pills.
You get a headache, you may take 2 Advil. That's harm reduction.
Absolutely.
So that's the way we look at harm reduction. It's not a radical thing. It's about taking tiny steps towards reducing harm. It could be abstinence, but it doesn't have to be.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So many things. And I feel like the key thing that stood out to me was I also am a 12-stepper. Okay. A few ways, actually.
Right.
And it is a foundation for me. However, it took me a long time to turn it around and be able to perceive it in a way that I understood it and felt connected to it and could make it work for me. And it is it's a beautiful program. Okay. So I'm also not anti 12 steps at all, but there's a lot of things that I over the years in those meetings, crazy things. Okay. I consider these people crazy because they were telling me not to take my crazy meds. Just kidding. That was a joke. But not to take my prescribed medications, because that's not truly abstinent. Right. I had a dude tell me he would not use mouthwash, not because he's worried that he's going to drink it and use it. And he told me a story just because that's not truly abstinent, because he might do that. I'm like, what? Or cooking, or all these kinds of notions.
You can take everything
Extremists.
to an extreme. Yes. Anything to an extreme. Anything.
Right. And so why, I don't understand why it would be so off. Okay, stigma is my answer, because I feel like, why is it so radical or extreme to say, instead of someone from, especially, those heroin and meth, coming off of those, to just be absolutely, that's ridiculous. I mean, scientific. Go ahead and take it away. I mean,
no,
this
you
gets me fired up.
Basically, can't do it without medicine.
What?
And it's not unlike quitting smoking and taking and chewing a Nicorette, or taking a Chantix, or whatever they're called, the pills that make you nauseated when you smoke. Yeah. It's just another way of reducing harm. And what we say is, harm reduction doesn't exist because of drug use. Drug use doesn't exist because of harm reduction.
Right.
Harm reduction exists because of drug use.
Absolutely.
It follows drug use. It doesn't lead drug use. It doesn't stimulate drug use. People don't say, "Oh my gosh, I should start using drugs because I don't have to use too many and I'll be fine. I'll be just fine." That doesn't happen. We're dealing with people that have issues.
Oh, yes. And I mean, we could take that to all kinds of places. I think now, I started recovery literally the moment I started using alcohol. Let's just start with alcohol. 21 years old. I realized already I needed some kind of, I was not like others. And I just remember it was so hard for me to, so my point is, this book was written in 1938. Okay. So in that time, fentanyl didn't exist, peoples. Okay. Alcohol was like its own platform. And again, to those people that are like, it's religious, they're right. The God words in there like 458 times. Okay. I watched this documentary. It's very informational. However, they make a point to say it's as you see your higher power, or the universe, or the source. Okay. So being able to I changed that word, but the fact that it really is a spiritual program, or it can be, I work with participants, and I love when they're like, well, what is spirituality? And I sent them this great article that just lets them like kind of read it and explore it and think about that. But again, it's all in how a person perceives things.
No question.
And harm reduction right now, where it says, and I'm going to be a little dramatic, is life or death. Okay. 90%, and it's probably a made up percentage, but 90% of people that are overdosing out there are dying alone because they'd rather sit in that shame than get help or tell anyone what's really going on.
You're very close.
It's heartbreaking.
It's actually 80% are dying alone.
Okay.
I mean, and it's been proven that these harm reduction clinics, we're not talking about that tonight, but where you can go use drugs with clean needles and everything.
Yes.
It's been 100% protected from death.
Yes.
There's been in all the world, in all of the harm reduction centers, there's never been an overdose death.
That's amazing.
100%. And that's an unbelievable statistic.
And so the videos in this training are huge. So if you can, I know one I found on YouTube myself, Lindsay Hartman. That's fantastic. There's another one that that actually goes into that clinic. What is it called?
Insight. In Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Insight.
And each floor, the first floor you can use, the second floor you can recover, and the second floor you can detox, and the third floor you can start recovery. Yes.
And it's incredible. The people, hundreds and hundreds of people go through there.
Yes.
And police find addicts on the street and bring them there. I mean, that's humane.
Yes.
That's humane.
And so that's what I would propose to anyone right away that is getting fired up on the opposite side, because, that's just it. They haven't heard anything else, and this might be all fresh. Okay. Me also. There was a lot of things that I had heard or assumed. You see things in the movies, you hear things or whatever, until you really get in the recovery community. But I remember thinking, what if it is affecting someone that I love, a sister, a best friend? Put a face on who you're talking about, of someone that is close to you. And I'm not wishing this on anybody, but what happens if one day it becomes you? Okay. So I was watching these videos of that 3-level thing.
Insight.
It was hard to see. And literally at first, the one woman who they kind of centered on, was coming in there to use. She actually looked a lot like my birth mom, Barry. Okay.
Yeah, she wanted.
The last known location of my birth mom recently is in Iowa.
Up her heroin there.
Yes. And she said right on there, she had overdosed there, but thankfully they had those people, the people, professional doctors or whatever, whoever working there was able to save her. Okay. And here's the reality. And even where it sits today, I reached out to, I don't know much of my blood family. I asked them, hey, have you guys heard anything about my birth mom? And they said they had thought they might have seen her in Iowa, which makes me hope. And I just wish that there was a place like this in at least every state and every major city, because that's the reality, is that those people that you love or care about or maybe would love to meet, at least if they were in a place like that, that gives me hope.
Right.
And
it gives them hope.
Yes.
That's what's most important.
Will you tell, like in the video, they show that turn.
About them.
Yes.
And they don't have people in their whole life care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works so well, is somebody cares about you.
Yes.
And if that gives you hope, gives you a light at the end of the tunnel.
That saved my life.
Exactly. There you go.
And that's the reality. Yes,
right
you're
there.
Not standing there judging them. So Lindsay Hartman, if you want to have a good TED Talk, go on YouTube. Lindsay Hartman, her video, her talk about harm reduction. The biggest piece is that compassion. Get it. I love how she said, caring about them. And maybe they'll get to that point where they finally care about themselves, because in that outside cold-hearted world, there are so many people that, because you're labeled an addict or an alcoholic or whatever, a person with addiction, you're just below the level of everybody else. Yeah. Well, and for me, that label followed me everywhere.
They think addiction's a choice.
Yes.
It's not.
There's still people that don't believe it's a disease. Yes.
It's not a choice. You have those genes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get mad at people that have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get mad at people that have heart disease.
Or asthma.
You take care of them.
Yes.
You take care of the compassion. You have medicine. You treat them.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure they don't run 2 miles with asthma.
Right.
You take care of those people.
Yes.
You don't shun them.
Here's the reality. I almost died one time when I was younger riding my bike, and I forgot my inhaler. I almost didn't make it home. Okay. And I got lots of compassion and understanding. I've almost died 3 times, Barry, in my addiction. Do you think anybody cared? I think the last 2 times, I remember one time I had to walk home from the hospital in my socks. Nobody picked me up, and then the last time, it was at that point when you hear it all the time. It's that stigma. Well, they deserved it. Maybe they got what they, deserved. Isn't that heartbreaking?
Terrible.
And it's not fair, because I did not choose to have that addiction.
That's what you didn't choose.
I was a completely lost person.
Right.
And you're right. It took that one person that genuinely cared.
Right.
And it took a while, I'll tell you. But it took that is what initiated me to start to think about caring about myself.
Right. Gives you hope.
Yes.
That gives you hope.
So, but yes, there's so much we could keep going into. We have not gotten any comments. So listeners, if you're joining us, please, questions, comments. I would love to play devil's advocate. I want to open my mind. I want you to ask those hard questions. This is the place to do it.
You bet.
And I guarantee there's many other people asking those questions.
Yeah, we've heard them all, honestly.
Do you have a fresh one? Like another one that?
No, it's just, the freshest one was just this last week. And the woman stood up, and we did it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday at about 3-4 o'clock when we were done, she stopped and said, all I knew was abstinence.
Mm.
She said, I've heard of harm reduction.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even open my ears to it because I didn't know anything what it was about. She said, I am so grateful.
Okay, is there an alarm?
I am so grateful to know about harm reduction.
Yes.
She had tears in her eyes.
Yes.
Tears in her eyes. She said, I'm so grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is a lot of practitioners actually practice harm reduction but didn't know what it was called. Because not everybody that sees them comes and says, I want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Here I want to quit. I'm so happy I want to quit.
Right.
And they don't want to quit.
Right.
And sometimes they'll come in and say, I used again. I reused.
Yeah.
I used again. So people have been dealing with harm reduction for many years, just didn't know what to call it.
Yes.
Just didn't know what to call it. And now they have sort of a seal of approval that what they're doing is okay.
Yes.
If they're causing harm, if they're, people aren't driving drunk, whatever it is.
Yes.
It's harm reduction.
Not using alone.
Exactly.
Using safe. I just had a
alone.
conversation with the house head manager at a women's house, and she said, because I'm doing the naloxone overdose trainings, right? And they have a new video on the Steve Rebler shout out Home Network about how to use the fentanyl test strips, right? The biggest thing that the house manager is getting, but what you're doing now is you're enabling those residents to think that, that means I can use. So what would you say? So say this house manager, because I still didn't respond appropriately, said that they don't know if they feel comfortable me or anyone bringing in these test strips or even talking about them because they think it might enable their residents to now think, oh, it's okay to use. So what do you say to that, Harry?
A fentanyl testing strip is like a fire extinguisher. It saves lives. Would they be pissed if somebody walked in with 3 fire extinguishers and hung them up in the center?
Right.
Of course not. Why? Because there could be a fire. There could be an overdose. The fentanyl testing strip just determines what you're taking. And naloxone.
It's an awareness.
Saves lives.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, so my thought process is I just always carry them around with me along with the Narcan.
Yep.
And I don't just go out distributing them. I'm just kind of, I'm thoughtful and mindful of it. But I went to a meeting, 12-step meeting, let me mind you. Okay. And I stayed after for the after meeting. Okay. Because one of the folks there, attendees, had mentioned, she's not doing the hard stuff, right? But she's still smoking a little weed. Well, guess what? It's in marijuana now, too. Okay. And so luckily, I knew the other 2 people that had stayed. So I really was aware that I did watch their reactions, Mary, but I busted out the strips. And I said, did you know that this fentanyl stuff is in marijuana now? Because she said, and I'm not disclosing her identity at all, that she still had that she was going to use that night. Well, my heart's like, well, I don't want you to die. So at least consider this. Right. But when I had them out at the sober homes, and it's not just I'm handing them out. I'm doing this training. I am throwing in that harm reduction stuff a little bit here and there, especially when they ask questions. But I like to say, especially now when they're taking the step, to want recovery, they got a lot of family and friends that are still using.
Absolutely.
So it just hits so many birds with one stone. Now this person is like, hey, I got these strips. Would you? They're showing compassion for their family. Their family's now seeing this person's what? It's like it could be this whole beautiful positive ripple effect, but you're still going to have those people on the other side that don't know.
No question.
And enabling. Yeah. Okay. We're enabling.
You have to stop. Damn it. Stop it. Stop using. What's wrong with you?
And that's
quit it.
You tell me not to do something.
Just quit it.
What do I want to do?
You want to do it?
Times 10.
Exactly.
In any capacity.
Well, in the old days, I hate to talk real old days, but they used to show us the movie Reefer Madness. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Oh, you should watch it. It's a movie that was probably in the 40s and 50s.
Oh my goodness.
And they'd show it to us in school.
What?
And it was the harmfulness of marijuana.
Okay.
And everybody that watched the movie couldn't wait to do marijuana.
Right.
Because it was all jazz singers and they typified it as a drug that white people shouldn't use. And, and I couldn't wait to use it. I just couldn't wait to find it. So it was a good ad.
Yes. Oh my God.
Don't use this. Oh, I can't wait to use this.
I can't find it. Yeah. What was it called in the 80s? Dare. I was a part of Dare. The t-shirt and everything.
Yeah, Dare.
I didn't know all these things that they were teaching me in 5th grade. What do you think that did? That made my mind like, oh, what is this? And what is that? I got to explore this.
Used it.
Yes. This is not.
All right.
Okay, anyway. Also, we did get the comment. So that alarm that you heard, listeners, just reminds us to interact. It says, Facebook user says, can you explain what the use of fentanyl strips are for. So for me, okay, so you get 4 strips in a little pack,
you should do
and
it.
it's great because what's happening with this? Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable overdose. This is 1 to overdose every 7 minutes. That's where it sits right now. It's probably more than that. We've lost more people in the last year. I want to say it was 1 year of time than in World War I and World War II combined. 2 overdoses. Okay, so. And it's fentanyl, and you could just need the smallest, tiniest amount, and it can cause an overdose. It has been. It has been.
Actually kill you. Small, tiny amount, some of it.
Yes, and now it's laced with everything and anything.
Exactly.
You know, they're stamping benzos with it.
That's right.
Okay, listen. So what's great about these test strips is you can test, and there's a video. You could take your little strip out and test whatever substance you have, liquid form, powder form, and see if there's any fentanyl. And Lindsay in her video states that many times, you know, they're thinking they're getting their same thing from their dealer, and so as soon as they found out there was fentanyl in it, they threw it away. You know, and so it's just like what we're talking about. It's a way to reduce death. How about that? But that awareness,
harm reduction, safe use. At least if you're using, you don't want to kill yourself. Right. Or kill your friends.
Right.
For sure. So
yes.
It's fentanyl testing strip is total harm reduction. Total.
Yes. And I mean, even condoms, like this is a funny story. Okay. I did the Stay Alive. Have you heard of them? Well, they're wonderful. And they do the free HIV testing. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I ordered their cute little kit. Oh, it was so cool. It was a package. And, there was all kinds of things in it, but there's a big pack of condoms, which is okay. So we won't get into that. But anyway, I don't have a use for them now anyway. And so I just carry them around in my bag with my fentanyl test strips and my Narcan stuff. And because in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to share a reduction to all kinds of things.
Harm reduction.
And safety, you know, with the needles, all that kind of stuff. Yep. But I accidentally left my bag out. And I didn't know that. And my 11-year-old daughter pulls me aside one night and she's like, Mom, we need to have a talk. I'm like, yes, honey, what? And my mind's like, what? She's just had this serious face. Why is there a lot of condoms in your bag? Oh, gosh. I'm like, oh, honey, ooh, where do I go with this? Yeah. You know, I don't want to laugh about it, you know. But I explained what it was for and why. And now every time I carry them around, it's just great. But I think that it's that whole thing, especially with the needles, okay? So they're having problems with the naloxone training the needles. Yes. Again, it's one news story from whatever years ago. People actually think people have Narcan parties or use these needles for use. Let me tell you, if you ever were a needle user, you ain't going to be using these needles. They're big and they'll blow out some stuff. So it's silliness. But a lot of people like to talk and throw out that fear stuff, and then everybody runs away. So that's what's great about Steve Rubin. Their website and all that wonderful fact-based information is out there. So would you agree, or what would you say, Barry, is like the solution or the positive way to like get people to maybe start to accept harm reduction? Especially you're amazing.
It's really education.
12 years in that program.
It's really education. And you know, of all the videos, and Bridget and I have seen numbers of them on YouTube. If you guys know who John Oliver is, John Oliver does a show on Sunday night HBO. He's huge. He's a comedian, but he does topical stuff. 4 or 5 weeks ago, he did 20 minutes on harm reduction. And part of it was, you know, some humor in it. It's the way he does things. But 4 million people have seen that video. Wow. And that's how it has to start.
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. That's how, and every time I watch it, it really, parts of it is very entertaining. It's hysterical, but he talks about the myths behind some of the craziness. And he talks about the success of harm reduction, the success. And that's what people have to focus on. Yes. It's not about, they should be doing something else. It's good that they're doing that. They're not shooting alone in a room and dying by themselves. Yes. And you can't cure a dead addict.
They should do this. They should do that. Yeah. And you know what Tony Robbins told me on YouTube? He said, don't shoot all over yourself.
That's right.
This is a really good point, Tony.
That's right.
Okay. So we're going to keep things rolling. We are Yeah, see, it's already 8:30, Barry. Time flies. Isn't this crazy?
Wow.
Let's get into that clip. So I think the key that really stands out to me is saving lives is the shame, is getting over, standing shame.
People talking about their problems.
Yes.
That's the shame.
You
and if
have
you can
to.
get people talk about it.
Yes.
That's and especially people, well, the shame sort of goes away if they're abstinent. Oh, guess what? I'm not using anymore. But if they're not, they're really shameful. And I had somebody, if you have,
it's almost worse.
If I had somebody, if I could tell you just a real life story.
Absolutely.
Somebody
please.
came to me.
Get close to that mic.
Somebody came to me and they were actually snorting their life away with cocaine. And we had a long talk for a couple hours, and we talked about all kinds of things. And I saw him about 6 months later, and he looked like $1 million. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I have to thank you. You saved my life." Wow. And I said, "What did I say?" It was 2.5 hours. He said, "Harm reduction." He said, "Every time I felt like snorting coke," he said, I drank a beer. And he said, "And I don't like beer." And he said, "So I stopped doing that." And he said, "So every once in a while now I'll smoke a joint or I'll take a gummy." He said, "And I haven't been on cocaine for 10 or 11 months. His girlfriend's back. His life is back. He's got a job. He lives he got to keep his house." So you talk about harm reduction, saving people's lives. Yes. And it doesn't mean he was abstinent. Right. If I told him he can never do anything again, that would have been the end of it. Right. He'd still be, then what's the point? I might as well keep doing my coke. All right. Till it's over. Exactly. You just you hit the F it button. Yeah, till it's all over. If they're going to assume these things anyway and tell me these things anyway, why not just F it? Yeah, I'm not going to change. Right. Okay, let's get into the clip. And luckily it's only 3 minutes, but I just like this window of talking about. So Lindsay Hartman, her video talks about how, people would rather die in shame, and that was me, than, because of such a stigma, tell anyone anything about what was going on with the shame. And you and I now, you got me the book, and I've been listening to the audio. The big question is, what happened to you? Because I'm sorry, every single person, whether it's a little t or a big T, has or will have trauma. And they don't maybe not know about it. And didn't even know. It could have happened when they were between 0 and 6 months old. Yes. And not known about it. Oh, 0 to 3. Yeah, 0 to 3. Anything. You can, What happened to you? Yes. Not what's wrong with you. Right. What happened to you? Yes. That's a start. That's that flips the script completely. Exactly. Because it was always, what's wrong with you? Exactly. And I was asking myself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why aren't I getting this program? Why isn't it working for me? Something's wrong with me. Yeah. So, absolutely. And definitely I would love you to come back and we'll just talk about that book, because I have to go through it just to re-highlight notes. And I mean, there was so much great stuff to process. But my point was, let's use the correct technical things here. So Oprah and Brene, that book she wrote, Gifts of Imperfections, talks about, so I understood once I really started to talk, and once someone actually cared enough to ask me what happened, and then also actually listened, didn't just write a prescription and kick me out. I got prescribed prescriptions for depression and anxiety for years. It turns out, there's a lot of other things that were going on just in my genes. I got a cheek swab. It turns out a lot of medications they were just putting me on, I shouldn't even be on. I should never have been on. And nobody believed me when I said this stuff isn't working. Right. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, let's get to the clip, because I could just keep going. But this is a great clip because I learned something new. So I felt it. Again, it's that thing, like I could feel it. I can sense people. I could just kind of tell. It's hard for me still. I'm pretty open book, but you say something or you give me a face, I'll shut that down real quick, because I can feel it if you're not understanding. So it's very beneficial to know these types of people. So the clip is called 6 Types of People Who Do Not Deserve to Hear Your Shame Story. Oh, it's from Oprah's own YouTube channel. Okay, and she's got her guest Brene with her. They're going to talk about it. Just let them talk about it. Okay, I need my assistant. She's gonna, Sally.
Power on.
Connecting us up.
Bluetooth pairing.
Thanks, Ellie. Okay, here we go. Should be ready to go. And then we're going to talk about it right after.
Bluetooth connected.
All right.
On my side,
Yeah.
it is the worst.
We've all been there. The friend who needs you to be the pillar of worthiness and authenticity, she can't help because she's too disappointed in your imperfections because you've let her down. Yes.
Painful.
The friend who is so uncomfortable with vulnerability that she scolds, how did you let this happen? The friend who's all about making it better and out of her own discomfort refuses to acknowledge that you can actually be crazy and make terrible choices. You're exaggerating, the person says. It wasn't that bad.
Right.
Yes. And the friend who confuses connection with the opportunity to one-up you. Well, that's nothing. Listen to what happened to me. So when you open yourself up and you're vulnerable enough to share something that has shamed you, what are you really looking for?
I'm looking for the person who loves me, not despite my vulnerability and imperfection, but because of it. I'm looking for what I call my move the body friends. I'm looking for the folks who are going to show up and wade through the deep with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a myth that you should have more than one or two of those. You know, the TV commercials that show 15 of us laughing and doing that kind of stuff. You got one person in your life who you can call and say, I just told a bold-faced lie to someone I care about and I have no way to get out of it. And I'm in a shame storm of epic proportion. You have one person that look at you and say, all right, let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I've done it. Let's talk it through. You are so lucky.
And if you have two or three, that's
Forget
it. Forget
Lottery.
it. Lottery.
Yeah. And you know what we all do, myself included, is we steamroll over those people to get the attention and appreciation of the people who will never show up for us like that.
Wow.
So like, you know, you may be my best friend and you might be all around me all the time, but those folks, those women at the mall that I don't know, they're the ones I'm really worried about.
Yeah. Trying to please or prove yourself to them. And you say we're all capable of being these friends,
Yes.
But especially if someone tells us a story that gets right up in our own shame, that's when it hits the nerve, right? You're human, imperfect, and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yes. It's hard to practice compassion when we're struggling with our own authenticity or when our own worthiness is off balance.
And you know what means the most to me? What means the most to me is if I go to someone with my shame story, and my whole mantra is you share with people who've earned the right to hear your story.
Damn, that is good.
Right?
Doggone it.
Like
That's so
you have
good.
to earn the right to hear my story. It's an honor to hold space for me when I'm in shame. And so I want to share. And if I share with someone,
we need to just pause with that for a moment.
Okay.
Because this is how people get so messed up and violated. It's like the Bible says, casting your pearls before swine.
it's
You
true.
know, offering yourself up to people who don't deserve to have that offering.
Woo! There's a lot. Oh my gosh. And it really helps me. You know, I have set those boundaries with quite a few people in my life. And they were those people that they talk about where I was trying to be honest. I was trying to share that shame. And one of the biggest ones was, how could you do that? You're a mom. How could you do that? And some of them were family members, and they're still not in my life today because they don't understand. They don't want to understand. They don't have the capacity to understand. And they constantly made me feel ashamed. But I'll let you go. Is there anything that stuck out to you in this little clip?
Yeah, I've heard that, of course. And there are people, I've had people in my life that have been friends of mine and stuck with me when things were bad. But when things were good, they walked away. They were really happy to be there because misery loves company.
Yes.
When they were miserable,
Oh, yes.
they were, oh my gosh, let's go out and have a drink. Let's do this.
Mhm.
So the drinking buddies and the smoking buddies and
Oh, yeah.
whatever else buddies were there. The minute you got well, the minute you said, I'm feeling pretty good, they go, huh?
Mm.
What's that all about?
Mm-hmm.
What are you so happy about? And they get pissed off when you're happy.
Okay, that's our hot seat alarm. But yes, I guarantee that is them projecting with their own stuff. Because I'll catch myself. If I get really upset about something, I got to really sit down and process why. What is it inside me that this is fired up? But one thing that I just want to say before we move on to the hot seat, are you ready for the hot seat, Barry? Okay. Is immediately I thought of, well, this is the positive thing. When she said one or two people, I immediately thought of like two people that literally I feel like I could share anything.
Right.
It's an open book. And like Brene said, I think that's beautiful is, and I try to be like this as well. Like first of all, I feel like honored and flattered when someone shares anything, especially
Same.
really that I know that's been
Same.
painful.
Hard for people to do.
Yes. So I feel this honor. And then I also like to, and I want to hear this myself, but I'm going to sit here in this with you. You know, I'm going to back you up. And she says to share with people who, well, she says earn the right to hear your story. I would say instead of right, you know, that's totally fine too. But those people that you trust, that have that just unconditional love, that respect, it's those people that show up. Like you were just saying, when the shit hits the fan, that's real quick, and you can see who's in your circle, who's not in your circle.
I'm sorry to hear about it.
Yeah.
Bye.
And the other piece, and this is really, especially with females, I find, okay, I won't say who, but like a specific family member, it would kill me and crush me. She would just bulldoze over me. And I knew it was because she knew I was that person. She knew I would be there no matter what. She knew that I would judge her no matter what. And I kept forgiving her. However, I would see her just, I mean, she could even buy me a present, Barry, and I don't care about that. It's just the thought of the counts. But she would make these beautiful cards and well thought out gifts to nobody that's there. I mean, she called me the day she was moving. She's like, Bridge, nobody's gonna help me move. But I'm like, okay, so you want me to help you move? All her little fake book friends, these people she buys these gifts and go to these parties, none of them were there. Okay, but here's me again, and I had cut her up a couple times before, you know, because it was just so toxic. And I remember saying, all right, you want to try this again? You know, I love her. I still do, unconditionally. She knows that. We went to a therapy session, neutral person, you know, didn't know. And it was beautiful because she said out loud exactly what I had been thinking. She said, yeah, Bridge is that person I know I will have no matter what. And
Wonderful.
I realized that that's what it was, is she would treat me like trash. And she did at the end of the day, rip my heart out. And that's why I had to step away. But all these other people, you know, it was mind blowing. And you know, she said on the other side, like, I think we had a good balance because she was that outspoken, whatever person and adventurous. And, but yeah, it's like those front row people. There's this great speaker. He's at Hazleton. And I remember him talking about your front row people. Those are the people that you treat the worst. Why? Because they're right there. They're in your home. They're right in your relationship and all that. Yeah. So you know good and bad. There. You think that, you know. Yeah. But eventually, you know, yes. And I also am a dual member myself. I go to dual meetings. I love Thrive now too. That's a great thing. But yeah, it's like, so there's so much out there, but I think it's key to be open and to educate yourself, right? You don't know, or something sounds weird or confusing or whatever, explore it. Talk to someone like Barry who knows what they're talking about. Like, you talk to me as kind of a mess, but I get it. You know, I'm going to listen. We can figure it out together. Okay, you ready? So I do have a sound effects, my favorite little thing.
Okay.
So this is our segment called The Hot Seat. And what that entails is, Barry, I'm going to ask you 3 hot and heavy questions, kind of like you're on the hot seat. Because these questions are not your everyday over coffee questions.
Okay.
These are deeper, heavier questions, and they're not meant to make you feel sweaty, although some of my guests have felt pretty sweaty.
Okay.
And hot under the collar, because they're meant to, you know, maybe something you say, one of the listeners, somebody out there is going to hear and be like, wow, that happened to me too. I'm not alone. Or something you answer, it might just make a light bulb. Or not. Just no pressure, though. Yeah. I have had guests come off with all kinds of answers, and I just loved it. I actually had a guest flip it out on me, and I did not see that coming.
You're right.
And I answered.
That's the hot seat.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I do have this little sound effect. I like the sound effects. It makes it sound more interesting when you're listening, since we have no video. I refuse to go to video. Ooh, that's a good one. We're gonna share that. Say that one out loud before we do the hot seat. This is a great meme. Okay, done with the hot sounds.
What was that? Popcorn?
No, it's supposed to be fire.
Oh, fire.
Fire sound?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's too much work to put on the speaker.
Just so you know, these questions aren't rehearsed. I have no idea what she's going to
No?
ask me.
Yes, you're my
I'm getting
victim.
warm just thinking about it. My goodness.
And I do thought process. And you know what's so funny is that I never know which way it's gonna go.
Sure.
You know, I think, ooh, this is gonna be a good one. And they did not go that way. And then the ones I think are gonna be light, they go real heavy into something like, woo!
Wow.
This is gonna be
Well,
scary.
that's why it's hot seat.
Yes, okay, so here we go. I did write them. I did not do Jason, who's been a continuous guest. We did random Google heavy questions. That was
Okay.
fun for
All
both
right.
of us. Okay, Barry, here we go. Hot seat. Question number 1. What has someone said against to that cause in the meeting? Oh, okay. Here we go. What has someone ever said like against you or your beliefs that caused you to react, an immediate reaction? Okay, mind you, not a response. Okay, you reacted. So think about it for a second.
I can tell you right
Oh,
now.
I love this.
Oh, I can
I
tell
thought
you
of
right
5.
How-
Okay.
You're not a religious person. How can you go to AA?
Mm.
I said, what?
Yeah.
You know, you're spiritual. You're not religious. You don't go to a church or a synagogue or anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why? How would you go to AA? And
How
then
dare
have to
you?
explain them. I said,
Uh-huh.
let me talk to you about this. Well, they mentioned God and Jesus. I said, wait, stop.
Mm-hmm.
You may mention God, but it's God of your own understanding.
Right.
And they don't hear Jesus. Jesus can be your God. Of
That's not in the
understanding.
book
There's
at all.
many people,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to be mine.
Right.
That pissed me off.
Oh,
It
yeah.
still does.
It still does
It
too.
was, still does.
What are the 3 things you never talk about with someone you're just meeting? Hey, let's go and say, and at a meeting is politics,
Yeah.
religion, and I think it's race.
Yeah.
Like obviously, those are common sense things, but I literally will walk away now, especially if I don't know the person. They start talking politics. I'm like, ooh, I'm going over here.
Yeah.
That is just don't get me involved.
We had somebody walk in with a campaign T-shirt on.
Oh wow!
Oh boy!
Oh, the bumper stickers,
They
the
said
yard
we're
signs.
packing.
Oh, you know, so
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Cheese and race. Okay.
Yeah.
Gesundheit. Question number 2. That was a
Okay.
great answer. Question number 2, Mary.
Okay.
Okay, this might be heavy.
Okay.
What's the most traumatic, or let's say horrific, traumatic experience you've witnessed?
Oh, that's
This is a hard one. You just share
That
what
is
you
hard.
feel comfortable.
yeah. Well, did I witness it in person or on film or what?
I knew you were going to ask that
Yeah.
because you're a thinker.
Yeah.
That what I like to say is whatever comes
Okay.
to mind.
The
what you
most
feel.
horrific thing I've ever seen in my entire life is George Floyd.
Mm,
Is that tape? I've never seen anything. There's nothing that's disturbed me anymore.
mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Same.
Nothing that I watch it maybe once, maybe twice. Every time they play it, I turn off
Yes.
whatever's on. I cannot watch it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything quite like that, and they
Yeah.
continually play it.
I don't get it.
They continually play
Yes.
watching a person get murdered
Mm-hmm.
slowly,
Justifying.
begging for mercy,
Yes.
asking for his mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God, does it get
Heartbreaking.
worse than that?
No.
Not for me.
No.
I mean, it's obviously you can't just count school shootings and things like that. They're simply horrific. But to watch that video
Yes, I saw it once.
and continually play
Yes.
it,
Yes.
that's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, that was a great answer. That was deep.
It's the real answer.
And like that just shows, especially when I think I know people,
Mhm.
I think I have quote unquote friends.
Mhm.
They're now more acquaintances. If we've had a discussion, especially around something like that, where I feel is a high grounds for me and my morals and values, and they actually have some ignorant comments, I'm like, well, I guess we're not friends. Friends were like, I thought we were. We're acquaintances. Okay. We're going to be rubbing into the beeps. Okay. That was a good answer. Okay. Last question. Question number 3.
Okay.
Barry, if you didn't, this is a good one. I like this one.
Okay.
If you didn't have to be respectful, of someone's feelings, no consequences, what would you say to someone you view or viewed as just awful, evil? So I would like you, if you can, to make this personal, because I actually did answer this one myself. So if they're right here, and let's say you could, like Men in Black, erase their mind, or there's no consequences, there's, you don't be mindful of their feelings or whatever, but you could say something to them. This person who you know is not a good person, awful, whatever. What would you say? What comes to your mind?
Did they do something to me? Is that the question?
Well, my answer was yes, it was
Okay.
someone who continuously
Well,
did stuff to me.
Okay, I had somebody do something to me that changed my life. And all I could, and I think they may know it.
Mm-hmm.
All I would say to them if they're saying is, how could you do it?
Mm.
Just explain. I can't understand how you could have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me what happened.
Yeah.
Please explain to me what happened, because I've never been treated that way
Mm-hmm.
by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't deserve to treat me that way, because I was
Yeah.
good to you.
Oh.
So that was a business setting, by the way. It wasn't a personal,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a personal relationship. It was a business thing.
Yeah.
And the guy just fucked me over. Excuse
Yeah.
my language.
This is an adult show here. Mary.
Okay, I know.
You're free to.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was a respected adult
Yes.
and a respected in his profession.
And you never got the chance to ask him that?
I did. I sat down at lunch once, had lunch with him, and he just explained it away. He rationalized it away.
Oh, yeah.
It was my fault.
Of course. Oh,
And-
yes,
and,
of course.
And he didn't even think he made sense himself.
Mm-hmm.
It was so stupid. But anyway, that's so.
That people will believe their own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
But deep
I
down-
wouldn't want to shoot him. I wouldn't want to punch him.
Right. Well, another person I asked this to was
No
like, I punch him.
violence.
Like,
no
no.
violence.
Yes,
violence,
no.
but just how,
Ever.
It's more about from the neck up. How
Mhm.
could you have done it?
Mhm.
What were you thinking?
Why?
What were you thinking?
Yes.
So that was it.
Yes, and many times we'll never get that answer.
No,
I know a few
I
people
will
that-
not know that answer.
Yeah, people that popped in my head. I don't think in their lifetime they will even have the capacity to understand.
That's the issue.
So okay, that was great. Ooh, that was a hot one. And again, listeners too. I guess that now I'm realizing these questions could be something that someone asks themselves.
Sure.
Because when I wrote this last one, I said it out loud what I would say to this person. But guess what? You just gave me a light bulb moment. Barry, I'm reading this. What happened, boy?
But
And therefore, I wanted to take the high road, like you just did there. Okay, so that person that I rehearsed that with, next time I would a real life situation take the high road. But if there was no consequences,
yeah. Well, yeah.
I would have said what that came to my mind.
Get in a violent situation.
Yes, I don't think this person's evil. However, there's things that I just would love to put out there.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's no point in that.
Yeah.
Fire fights fire. Does not fight.
No,
put out
if I
fire.
can't fight fire with fire.
Yes. Okay. So that was wonderful. That was the hot seat, Barry. Not too bad.
Fine.
Would you say that
Got
was
some more questions?
heavier though?
No,
No, just the three.
Oh, you made me think.
Good.
I had to pause,
Okay.
didn't I? You saw me pause
Yes.
before I answered.
Yes. And I like that.
Yeah.
I've had other guests that look at their phone and they're not even listening to me, Barry.
Yeah, no.
We played a great clip.
No.
He's on his phone. And then I go,
No.
and see the listeners, and I'm not going to call it out. They don't get to see us. Thank goodness, because I played this powerful clip and have emotion. I look over, he's on his phone. And I know he did not hear anything from that clip. And he played it out. I was like, so what do you think? Was it that powerful, Ray? What do you think? He goes, oh, yeah. I liked what they said. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Phone addiction is a real thing. Okay, so now we're going into that. You heard that last alarm. The last segment is purely just for entertainment and fun, but it's called Live Facebook Memes. And what that is, Barry, is I'm not ashamed at all anymore. But at night, to decompress and just to get joy, a little joy at night, no matter what kind of day I've had, I just like to see what kind of memes. Some of these memes are so clever and
They're funny. They're
hilarious.
hilarious,
Or
absolutely.
deep or whatever. They just nail something.
Yeah.
And so I'll screenshot my favorite ones for the week. Let me tell you, I had like 15 good ones this
Right.
week,
Yeah.
but I kept it to 8. Okay. I usually keep it to 7 or 8,
Okay.
but I kind of picked the best ones of those 15. You got one for me.
I do.
Okay.
Well,
I'd like Facebook.
I don't know how well this will go on. Will come off without seeing it, but I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty good at describing or reading.
Hang on.
What's nice is I have figured out now,
I know.
recently, I show the memes to the listener, so we don't have to describe anything. They can see it. I do try to, because there are some people that do not have visual. They just are listening. But what's great is like
Go ahead,
Facebook.
I'll find mine.
Okay, like Facebook, if you can just give me, well, you don't have to, but like your reaction, like thumbs up, laugh out loud,
All right.
heart, you love it, or comment.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So here we go. I'm going to show them from my phone to you, like I said, but the listeners are going to see them. And we're going to try to go in order here. There's a great order. Oh, wait. Oh, I have incorporated new flashy things. However, I haven't got into that. It's changed. It's changed. The new way we go about it.
Oh.
This just means it's meme time. Officially. Okay. You want to give me yours first?
You want to read it?
Okay, so there's 2 scenes,
Mhm.
and it looks like a fellow's talking to another fellow sitting on a bench.
An old-fashioned.
Very vintage.
The invention of glue.
The invention of glue. The one guy says to the one guy, I bet if we melt a horse, we could use it to stick stuff to other stuff. And the other guy says, dude, is everything okay at home? Yeah, this is a good one. What is going
It's
on
a good one, isn't
at
it?
home? What are you doing there with the animals and glue and stuff? That's interesting. I think I might have seen that one, actually. Okay, I'm going to get into the
Yep.
stuff.
You'll have it.
I'm going to flash you right on my phone in the order that the listeners will be able to see, so it actually makes sense. And I put effort into these memes. Since I had so many to choose from, I did particularly select ones that I hope you could vibe with me. Here we go. First one. The person looking confused at a phone. He's reading his phone. And what does it say?
That's funny.
Read it out
Me
loud.
trying to figure out what's going on in the world via memes since I refuse to watch the news.
Yeah!
Yeah, there you go.
This is me.
Yeah.
Do you watch the news very a lot?
Off and on.
I don't.
I get.
Refuse to.
I watch it, but then I get burned out.
Yes.
And I can't watch it anymore.
And I feel like the
I get
news, people are
depressed.
going to tell me what's going
I
on.
get
Yes.
depressed.
Well, the news is fear-based.
The first 20 minutes are the worst.
But the memes was I remember
Funny.
the first meme that popped up with Chris Rock and Will Smith. I'm like, this ain't real. This can't be real. That there's like meme after meme. I'm like, what happened? And then I did have to go look up some videos. I was like, what did I miss? Okay, that was great. Meme number 2. This is just funny. This is funny. It's relevant. Describe it if you can.
Yeah, there's a therapist. Oh, I've seen this one with a squirrel on his back, and
In session.
in a session, yeah, squirrel in a couch on his back, in session, and the squirrel says, "When I learned you are what you eat, I realized I was nuts."
I was nuts.
That's pretty funny.
And honestly, I took personal
Okay.
to that
That's cute.
because there's been times I've been through multiple therapists in years, and I remember this one, like her face. I just decided for whatever reason I was really going to share a lot of my stuff that I just didn't waste my time sharing with other ones before. It's too much. It's too much. My life is too much sometimes. And her face, she couldn't say anything. I think she just thought I was nuts. And she probably couldn't gather if I was making it up or not. Some of the stuff that's happened to me is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it was the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I love. It's a little, it could be inappropriate, but I don't think so. This is me 100%.
All right.
And it helps that it's Ryan Gosling in a locker room. There's a dude. Looks like he's nude, Ryan,
he's nude.
flashing this dude.
And a towel around his neck, and that's it. And he says, "You shouldn't be open about addiction and sobriety." And me, oh, I'm sorry. Is this bothering you?
Is this bothering you?
Stay naked.
Just put it right out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stay
yeah.
naked. You have to see that one. I think that's better to see.
And, okay, in the 12 steps, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion about what anonymity means
That's,
in the rooms.
that's
Okay, so anyone, it depends on the mood that I'm in, Barry,
Yeah.
and if I actually like the person, or if I have extra time, and they're like, no, I thought anonymity, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well,
Mhm.
it just depends on my time. But anonymity, yes, there's a purpose for that, and
Yes.
in the meetings and that safe space, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I have the right to share my own, the choice. Jason Runding talks about this all the time. I have that choice to share my identity
Of
and
course,
my
of
story,
course,
which I
yeah.
share all over the place,
Don't share
Barry.
anybody else's. You can share yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never
Yeah,
share anybody
exactly.
else's, right? But what you do outside those meetings,
Mhm.
That's totally different. You just, okay? So, okay. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Okay, the next one. This thing is funny because he's just inappropriate, like in his face. Okay. Meme. We're moving on to meme number 4. This is great. Just words. What do you think of this? Powerful.
Now that's let go or be dragged.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
What do you think of that?
let go or be dragged.
I was
Yeah,
dragged
think it's kind of
along
a good one.
for a
Yeah,
long
you
time.
bet. You bet. Let go or somebody's going to drag you along.
And drag you with all
they're
your
gonna drag you
bullshit and
with-
your
yeah, and they're
baggage
gonna
and all that stuff with
Step
you.
on you and drag you around.
Or just let
So
it
let
go.
go. Let it go.
Mhm.
Good.
Yes. At first I was like, oh, that's a little harsh. But then I realized, no, that's just truth.
No, it's true.
Okay. Again, words mostly, but
Okay. Let's see. Before I read it, it's a person holding a flower and another person's hand reaching out. Healing begins when we embrace our pain, feel all the emotions, and take a risk to become vulnerable by sharing with others. That's beauty.
That is so
healing
beautiful.
begins when we embrace our pain, feel all the emotions, and take a risk to become vulnerable.
Yes.
Pretty good.
And I am at this
Very good.
place watching other people be vulnerable
Yep.
and share their story
Yep.
with me.
Yep.
Again, I felt honored.
Yep.
And I felt like I'm not alone.
Yep.
And I felt like if they could be vulnerable, maybe I could one day. It took me years,
Yeah.
but I got there.
Yep.
And that's the only way. Being vulnerable for me meant letting the guard down, breaking down those walls.
Mhm.
Because what I was doing, I was keeping everybody else out, but I was locking myself in.
Yeah, that's what you do.
So, okay.
You lock yourself in jail.
So I do like to throw those like pretty much. Now this was just funny. I'm going to text this one to Justin. This is the
Okay.
coworkers.
Oh, that's great.
This words.
This is just a quote. Some people just drain the nice right out of you.
Ooh,
Isn't that great? Oh, do
those
they ever?
energy vampires.
Some people just drain the nice right out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like the time.
And consistently,
like the
too.
time vampires that take all your time.
And it's like they thrive off of
No,
it.
they love it.
Yes.
That's
Woo!
what- Yeah, the ring cloud.
And they wonder why I don't want to
But
hang out all
they're
the
there for
time.
Yeah, and if you react to it, they really love it.
Oh yeah. Oh
If
yeah.
you don't
And then
react,
it's
then
your
it really
fault.
pisses
You're the
them off.
reason I'm always an awful person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pisses them off.
Okay. Again, I just had to. I had to go funny. You know where this woman is from, right? Where's her fairy godmother, right?
Yeah, you explained it.
So it's the fairy godmother, and she's the nice white witch, right? And she's just beautiful and lovely. And what is she saying?
Go ahead, sweetie. Try me. The last bitch is still under a house.
There you go.
There you go.
Woo!
There you go.
That's one thing. Like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
That's right. There you go.
I mean, it's very hard for me these days to be reactive.
That's good.
And I just never want to go there again. I feel like I'm really working on that. But if you heard the previous show, I'm sure everybody's so sick of me talking about it. But like, I got out of a car, ready to fight a dude who was like, this road rage thing. I wouldn't have done that. I know myself. I would not have done that. But my daughter was in the car with me. And I'm thinking, what is this dude coming to do with my daughter in the car? This is Mama Bear came out. Okay. Okay. Anyway. So yes, I'm very, very nice. And I'm glad nobody else saw that interaction. It was probably good for my daughter to see that.
No problem.
Like, mom could get scary.
She's my protector.
Oh yeah. She's scary.
Yeah.
All right, this is our last one. And I thought it was powerful. You let me know. It's kind of hard to read.
Okay, it's a long one. Beneath every behavior, there is a feeling, and beneath each feeling is a need. And when we meet that need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with the cause, not the symptom. I'll read it again.
Yes.
Beneath every behavior, there's a feeling, and beneath each feeling is a need. And when we meet that need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with the cause, not the symptom.
Yes.
And that is what's wrong, what happened to me.
Yes.
That's what happened to me.
That means,
Right there.
yes.
What happened to me?
And it's beautiful
What you're dealing with.
because I see it day in and day out. And I realize I spend most of my day with a lot of my, especially newer participants, is just listening.
Oh, yeah, that's what they want.
Yes, because
Nobody ever
like
listened to 'em.
myself, yeah, I didn't have one damn person
Right.
that was really wanted to listen.
Right.
They were either paid to listen or I got stuck in whatever. But I could sense that. I could feel that. And it really was, and that's what I love about harm reduction. Even just making that one little secret out, letting that out. These things, this letting those things out, really allowed me to dig deeper into understanding myself,
Right.
so that I could truly be honest.
Right.
And it's, they say that hurt people, right?
Right.
Okay. And that's powerful. But what I like more now that I've heard is healed people heal people.
Right.
Like, I'll never be fully healed,
People.
but it gives positive light
Yeah,
that I'm doing some healing.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time to get to where I'm at, so I could at least
A
be
lot.
somewhat
A
purposeful.
lot.
But yes, everyone focuses on the behavior, and I love have you read the 4 Agreements?
Yeah.
Yes.
I sure
So
have.
just go ahead, take out all the books,
Yeah.
the big books, whatever you call the books.
Yeah.
Just put those aside for a minute and go ahead and read the 4 Agreements. Much shorter, it's much more simplified,
Yeah.
and it is accurate.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay. So Barry, we planned this out a few weeks, right?
Send me.
We've planned this little interaction here on the podcast
For
out a
sure.
few weeks.
Yeah.
What is your takeaways?
I had a lot of fun.
Yes?
I had a great time.
Okay. Was it?
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Well, I talked
let down.
about one of my favorite subjects, harm reduction.
Yes.
I mean,
And I would love
if
for you to
could
come
be asked
back.
to talk about it, I talk about it.
Yes. And you will be open if I get questions or comments later.
Oh, of course.
There's a lot of people that won't
Yeah.
post stuff when you read their face.
Well, they may listen to it later. And then
Right.
have a question.
Right.
Sure,
Right.
that's
But
fine.
I feel like this is planting a seed,
Mhm.
and luckily it's very much getting more and more out there,
It is for sure.
and it's a beautiful
For
thing.
sure.
It gives me so
For
much
sure.
hope.
Yeah, watch John Oliver on YouTube.
I am
And it's called Harm Reduction, so you can't go wrong.
John. I'm gonna watch that tonight
Oh, it's
on YouTube,
crack you up.
especially if you can make somebody laugh,
Oh my
find
God.
some humor in
He'll
something.
crack you up.
Yes,
Yeah, but it's so good.
that's my
He's the
jam.
best.
Okay, well, Barry, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so is there any future that you know about scheduled more trainings, harm reduction trainings
Oh
coming
yeah,
up?
we're doing one a month.
One a month? Oh,
We're
that
doing
is the
one
thing
a
now.
month for the next till the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's the
and
next one? Do you know
It's
where?
in Bemidji.
It is in Bemidji.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
doing that. Yeah, I think we may be doing 1 or 2 locally.
Okay.
You'd have to check with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
So go to Minnesota
Yeah,
recovery.org
.org.
Yes.
Recovery.org.
or just call
or call.
612-584-4158. I did actually go on our website before this to try to find if you could. I went to the training. I couldn't find it. I did not get to the events thing. So anyway, if you, I have internet ADHD as well. So if I don't find what I need right now, I just like, nah, do it later. So, but yes, if you do find it, or don't find it, just give us a call.
Right.
But we'll set you up because there is supposed to be 2.
That is
2 is the
two
rumor.
Two
Open
locally.
to the public.
Locally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
Barry.
Happy to
I've been
be
really
here.
looking forward to
I'm
this.
happy to be here.
We're part of
Thank
a
you.
cool, exclusive, inclusive book club.
Yeah. There you go.
It's so super
Very
cool.
fun.
And this is nice. There's this great quote or a meme that I saw that says, "When you sit with the warriors, oh man, it's great too. It's something like you change the conversation. When you sit with the warriors, the conversation is different.
Yeah.
Something like that."
Yeah.
And that's where I see myself today. Like, I definitely go to certain meetings or whatever, but I like going to book club
Right.
because it's just not you're a warrior. Not that I'm a warrior, but like, I like people that challenge ideas.
Yeah.
Or, have open-minded, can be opinionated or judge or whatever, but we're all like on an even playing field.
Yep.
And it's nice to have conversations with people and they just look at me like deer in the headlights.
No.
Like, what are you saying to me?
No, everybody's equal.
So it's just be woo.
When you meet a person, ask them what books they've read.
That'll tell you a lot.
That'll tell you.
Lovely. And music.
And music for sure.
Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, I'm a music guy.
Okay, well,
For
again,
sure.
thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. I hope you it was a beautiful weekend, weather-wise. And I hope you all have a beautiful week. And I will catch you next week. All right, good night. Oh, have you ever heard my inspirational music that I play?
No.
It's copyright free, so.
Okay.
If they
Well,
try to keep playing me, I have to.
I'm not going to sue you.
It's inspirational, though.
Okay,
And
good.
it's 2 minutes, so that's at least
Oh
lets
my
people
God.
know.
All right.
And I find that when I re-listen to it, I listen to it all the way through because it just makes me happy.
Okay, good.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, good night, everybody. And